Good morning. I can't believe how lucky I am today. I have two fantastic human beings. I love the both of them, and I feel so privileged and so grateful that they are both here. They are the Soaring Prophets, Pat and James. So welcome the both of them to the stage.
Hey,
Hi, guys.
good morning, everybody.
How
What a
you
great morning it
doing?
is, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you guys' schedule don't allow for mornings.
It's true. Well, I appreciate, first of all,
Rah-rah.
thank you so much for having us. It's an absolute
You're
pleasure to be
welcome.
here. We had you on our show recently, Soaring
Yes.
Profits. You can find us on LinkedIn. And I, of course, do the financial fitness. And that is my shameless plug for this. And I will leave it at that. That's all.
You can mention it again. And seriously, guys,
Yeah.
if you don't know the Soaring Prophets, go on YouTube, go on LinkedIn, go wherever, go find them, go listen to their show. So I'm gonna start by what's the word in English? In French, it's called un aveu. So it's when you tell something like a little secret, right? So
Oh,
Like it.
I'm a very early riser. I'm out of bed at 5 a.m. every morning. So these guys do a live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And that's my dodo time. I'm in bed at this hour. So every week they come to bed with me. Every
oh,
every Thursday night, I
yeah.
bring the iPad in my bed, which is the
Yeah.
only time that the iPad comes in the bedroom just to watch the Soaring Prophet. And I will admit that once in a
I
while.
kind of feel like Johnny Carson because Johnny Carson was known for going to bed with a lot of people.
You
Just
are
saying.
going to bed with you're going to bed with this chick. So, have I blushed yet? Am I red yet?
Scandalous.
I'm going to
Scandalous.
tell you right now, I feel
And the
very
both of
lucky
you
and
too,
fortunate. Yeah, I feel
Go to
very
bed with
lucky
them.
and fortunate because who is better than the great Isabel? Like, who else? Little
Aw.
Izzy, the
You
wonderful
called me
and
young
terrific.
lady the other day, and
Because you are a young lady.
I had to read the comment twice and go, who the hell's he talking to?
I love it. I love it.
You're a young lady.
I'm
I'm an
not.
old man. I just look good for my age.
It's
You're
true,
not
folks. He is an
old.
old man.
I'm
How old are you, James?
I am 53.
I'm 52.
Exactly.
The young lady.
Way younger. Way younger. We weren't like I left high school and I was in university while you were still in high school. So or college
Yeah,
before you.
I finished high school in 1989.
And
Right.
now
So
she's sneaking into
way.
the bedroom at night.
Yeah, and now I bring the both of you to bed.
That's
See, I
wild.
guess I
I
am
love it.
still young.
Yeah. Yeah. I do date a lot of younger women. I'm just saying it's a thing.
Do it. Oh,
It's because
do
everyone
you
older than me
now? Is that an
can't move.
invitation?
I think that goes to
I
the
just
passion
say we live
aspect
in
of people,
Canada.
passion, and purpose while we're on it.
People, passion, and purses, and we all live in Canada, so
That's
basically
right.
we're next door to each other.
We're just a 5-hour drive. You guys are gonna have to come up
That's it.
Yes, and
or
Montreal is
come
one of
down,
my
actually.
favorite cities. It is
Yeah, no,
amazing.
seriously, Montreal is
Oh,
especially in the summer. There's nothing
yeah.
like summer in Montreal. Seriously,
Mhm.
it's
Even the graffiti, like I have pictures and pictures of graffiti with my children, because it's just beautiful artwork. Like it's stunning artwork all around the city. It's
yeah,
gorgeous. Yeah.
yeah. No, it's just the traffic and the
Are
repair,
we
the
going
road.
into Quebec drivers? I didn't want to start
I
there,
don't
but if
want to
we're
do that.
jumping right into it, I got a bone to pick with a few of yous.
Go ahead, Pat. I am giving you the room to bitch about Quebec drivers. I am. I
Well, what's
seriously.
with the Quebec drivers? That's all I'm going to say.
That's it.
We're hot-blooded.
It is a peninsula. There's only so many bridges to get in and out of the friggin' city, and they're
Yes.
always shut. They've got the worst construction going ever, and all it is a
True.
sea of honking. It's worse than New
Right.
York. I'm done.
Yeah.
That's my rant. I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming for my
I-
TED Talk.
Once
But-
you get in, it's really hard to get out, and that is true.
That is very true. That's
Yeah.
very true. And I actually, truth be told, I actually live outside of this city, and I won't drive into town unless I really, really have to, or if I'm driving through town, like
Yeah.
to go. Most of my family live on the other side of the island, So, but yeah, no, there's a lot of road work in Quebec. It's you can see the construction orange cones from the sky. I think seriously, no, seriously. I
Space.
think that
Yeah.
from the space shuttle,
Yeah.
space station there, they see the Great Wall of China and the cones
And Montreal
of
construction.
Montreal.
Cones.
Yeah. No,
If it makes you
seriously.
feel better, they don't construct anything where we live. They just leave it. Giant potholes where our
Yeah.
cars
Well,
disappear into them.
and see,
Yeah.
that's the problem here is that for many decades, they just didn't keep up with the road work and maintaining them. So, yeah, no, there's potholes and yeah, but it's still a beautiful city if you walk it.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful if you walk it. Like
Yeah.
that's what I tend to do is I park my car, get like a
Yep.
nice Airbnb at one side or the other, and then enjoy it.
Take
It's
the metro
amazing. The
and walk.
restaurants are incredible. The art
That's true.
museums are beautiful.
That's
And the
true.
women, whew, they're all 10s, 11s. Like really.
Oh, you're so
Uh-huh.
sweet.
Oh, there's
What do
something
you
in the
think?
water for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I'm there, I go from my meager 4 where I live to a 10 in Montreal. I'm just saying. Good
You
looking
are
guys.
very European looking, sir.
See,
Yep.
there you go.
Yeah.
See, that's the proof you guys need to move here.
So,
No. Yeah. Well,
I got a bone up on the French. I think if I was going to be going there
that would
again.
be
how's-
tough.
After
a lot of French.
bonjour, that's about as far as I get. Even as a good Canadian, I made it through my grade 9 French class. Thank God Danielle had a crush on me
Mandatory.
because she did all of my assignments for me. But I again shout out to Danielle. I don't know where you are now, honey, but thank
Thanks,
you so
Danielle.
much for getting me through that. But yeah, even though I'm 5 hours from Montreal here, just outside of Toronto, Canada, French is a foreign language. It may as well be a million miles away. We don't use it. We don't speak it, unfortunately, which is a bit of a problem for us here in Canada because, again, it's a piece of our heritage.
What I'm hearing, Pat, is that even at the age of 14, you got by on your looks. I'm just saying.
I was very lucky. I had good people. That goes to the people, passion, and purpose, I suppose.
Yeah,
you know what, Pat? If you move to Montreal, there are a lot of women who will be willing to teach you French.
Terrible.
Like private classes.
Wow.
Private.
Yeah,
Wow.
private classes and free classes.
Do they advertise? How does that work exactly?
Well, it's called a dating site.
I got it. All right.
Yeah.
See,
I have had nothing but good luck with those so far in my, my
they're
life.
just
So
great.
what would
That
be
is
better
their-
than not speaking the language either? Why not?
Well,
Yeah, why
yeah, but
not?
the
Might be an
fact that you don't-
upside.
I was just gonna say the fact that you don't speak the language is gonna be kind of a a little bit exotic.
Yeah, better first date.
Way better.
Yeah.
first date.
Yeah.
Well, unless you find a woman like me that will say, yeah, you want to learn French, hire a tutor. I'm
Right.
going to speak to you.
Yeah. I know my value. I know my time.
Yeah.
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 Terrible.
No, I
Come
just
back when you grow up.
I've had my fair share of Anglos as boyfriends, and so like, no, honey, you want to learn French, hire someone because I'm not going to be it.
Right.
I'll correct you though. I mean,
Yeah.
that's okay, and then I like to be corrected as well. So
I'm going
Yeah.
to say the language of touch transfers across all nations and voices and languages.
True.
So I think we're good.
yeah, I think we are. So guys,
Going
my
back to the
show-
point that we take to bed every Thursday night.
Yeah.
but just skipping that,
We're right back to that.
yeah.
Right
Well, good
back.
morning, everyone. I hope your
Good
driving to work
morning.
this morning has been exciting so far. I know I'm sweating slightly. I don't know about the rest of you ladies out there.
Hey,
We just
I'm-
all woke up in Isabel's bed. And
That's right.
we're here in
I'm
your
French
room.
Canadian, honey. This is what you get, right? What
This
you
is
see when
Thursday.
you- This is Thursday morning.
That's right.
Mhm.
It's 10. I don't know. It's 10:09 right now.
Perfect.
Exactly.
All right. So my
We had
show,
questions, I
guys,
think.
is about people, about passion, and about purpose. So it's very, very easy. I ask you 3 questions, one at a time, obviously, and sub questions. It's meant to be a conversation. And after the entire show, you get to ask me whatever you want. Please do not make make it about me bringing you both to bed on Thursdays. So
I'll work something up before we get to that point now.
you got time.
It
You got
took my
time.
one question is about
That's what I'm thinking about right now, though. So it's going to be hard.
terrible.
When James is talking, Pat, you can.
I'll get it to pen and paper here. I'll scribble something out.
Exactly. So I'm gonna. Speaking of James, I'm gonna start with James because he's older than you, Pat. So he gets to go first.
On the
That was
spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So James, who has had the most influence on you in your life, and why?
So I've had quite a few people influence my life, but my very first influence would have to be my dad. My dad was kind of my rock, my pillar. We argued incessantly. We didn't get along, but at the end of the day, we loved each other. And he was just someone who modeled strength, manlyhood, and he had a way about him that he could walk into any room, and as like Pat likes to say, suck the air out of it. He just was. It didn't matter if it was the richest person in the room or the poorest person. He would go up and talk to them, and in seconds they would be under his spell. And he was a salesman at heart, and so he used his gift of gab to befriend everyone, and then used his wiles to usually get a really good deal from them. So if there was something that they really wanted to buy or he wanted to sell, he would become best friends with them and then go, "Oh, you're interested in this samurai sword? Yeah, well, I can give you a good deal since we're buddies now." And then he'd get a sale. Yeah, he was from St. John, New Brunswick, a very French town.
Yes, indeed, in a beautiful town.
Yeah. And
Very
then there's
nice.
Pat's been kind of an influence on me a little bit. I do love the man, I guess. But no, totally true. Pat, financially speaking, Pat has taught me so much on how to. Sorry, I never stop talking, so you might as well just keep me big screen the whole time. Pat has taught me a lot about finance, a lot about getting my finances together, how to run a rental property, how to buy and sell stock, what to pick. He's just very knowledgeable, and we have become like really close friends. And it's nice when you can trust someone with your money. Like I can, Pat.
That's very true. Trusting anybody with your money is a big thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally just sent him a picture of my credit card. That's how much I trust him.
Aw,
Yeah.
that's very sweet. You want to send it to me?
I literally booked flights with it. James won't be coming. I don't know where he's going on the 24th of January, but I'm taking a flight.
You're taking me, right, Pat?
Yeah, Isabel's in.
I thought I was going to Podfest. Now it's Isabel and Patrick.
Exactly, and James can come dog sit the polka dot terror right here.
There you go.
But you raised something. You raised something about your dad being like your first image of what a man is. So what did he used to do that you apply to your life now?
For him, it's confidence, being able to, no matter who you're talking to, you deserve to be there. And that was the biggest thing that I learned from him. It didn't matter if, you're talking to a king, if you're talking to a celebrity, there's nothing special about them. They're no better than you. They just have something, like they might have money that you don't have. But as for a presence in the world, your presence is just as important as theirs. And that's what my dad taught me mostly.
That's really beautiful. And that's so true. True. Just by the fact that you're alive, it means that you're meant to be here.
Yeah. And that it doesn't matter who's in front of you. You deserve a place at the table, every table. It doesn't matter what it is, because you're a part of the human race. So if something's going on the earth, you deserve to be at that table, and you should never sell yourself short or make yourself less to make yourself fit in. You should really just come to the table as you are and talk.
That's really, really,
which is something Pat does well. Speaking of people who do that.
Okay, so let's jump to Pat. Pat, same question. If you have one person that has influenced you the most, who is it and how?
Don't make me cry, Pat.
I think this is one of the reasons why James and I have become such good friends over the years and buddies and now business partners with our endeavors with Soaring Profits and what we're building that way. But it's 100% my father. It's the same thing. And it's a lot of those same masculine traits, lessons that you're taught as a young man are echoed from what James was just saying for myself. My father, I think there's something to be said around when your father passes away too, and an extra yard of respect and just empathy that goes along with that. My father was a literal cowboy. When he was 18 years old, left Ontario, went out and kind of settled the West, ranched in British Columbia, cowboyed, rodeoed all across Western Ontario, Western Canada, down in the United States, rode horses across, British Columbia, ranching, moved horses up and over the mountains where no man had ever really stepped foot before. So as a young man, what more can you think of when it comes to masculinity? And James can certainly attest. My father, again, would take up that oxygen in the room when he'd walk in. He was kind of that visual of John Wayne kind of strutting in there. And a lot of that goes to where he was, is that his father passed away when he was a year and a half old. And part of that was watching and visualizing what masculinity was for himself. So he watched. He didn't have a father to sit at home and what is a Friday night with your dad kind of thing, right? So he would watch men. He would watch how they walked, watch how they carried themselves into a room, watched how they did business. And he would tell me all the time, he goes, when I was a young man and, you'd get in a fight in hockey or you'd break a window playing sports, I didn't have dad to run home to. I needed to solve that problem for myself. So there was a confidence that was instilled in himself at a very young age of self-reliance. And I think that boded to who he was as a person. And I can't imagine, in the times that he was doing it, coming and building a family and, having a child myself. I'm an only child. And then instilling that in his own son, to the point where I look at him and I go, if I can emulate his life in any possible way, passing it to my daughter, I think, if I can do 1% of that, I will be doing a service to my daughter. So for me, obviously my father was a huge role model. I modeled his life in what he did as far as his faith, as far as what he did in business, and a lot of his passions too became my passions. And I love him, miss him every day. And I think that like I say, there goes to something with that, especially when they're not here anymore. Because again, like James was saying about his father, is that, you battle at times, and especially that masculinity and that energy that goes along with, fathers and sons. Sometimes you get into those battles, but when he's gone, you just wish you could pick up the phone. You're still waiting for that text message, all those sorts of things. So hindsight, unfortunately, is 2020. And I was very lucky. My father lived with me for years before he passed away, and I got to be that caregiver role, as well as providing for my daughter as her primary caregiver and her primary parent. So all of those things are just super important to me, and that comes from that childhood role that he didn't have a father, and the importance of what that looked like on being a father and making sure that I'm there for the people that love me.
Yeah, and I think there's a big point of that masculinity is you have to solve problems for yourself. My dad was very much like that too. Like he would listen to me and he would garner some advice, but it was always advice, executionable advice. It was always, well, you can do this or you can do that. You have to make the right choice for you. It was never go do this right now. It was more like, and it was always solid advice that I never wanted. That was the biggest part of it. It was, but I don't want to do that.
But that's
so I tried, like Pat said, tried to emulate that.
That's the sign of good advice, is when you don't want it, right? When you don't want to do what they say, kind of. Anyway, for me, especially as a kid. And it's so funny because what you're saying, Pat, is that what I'm hearing is that even though he didn't have a father, he was able to find father figures in other men. And I kind of did that as growing up without a mother. So what is the greatest thing that he taught you that you absolutely insist on passing on to your daughter? Because you're a single dad, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the number one thing that I'm pretty known for in as far as nomenclature goes around my household is walk in there like you own the place. And my daughter is 14 years old, beautiful young lady, very talented, good athlete, all of these things. And when she was a young child coming up, one of the things that she always, flourished in was her ability to communicate with adults. And the reason is that she would just walk in there and know her value. She walked in, sat down at the table, didn't matter, didn't care. My opinion is meaningful. And as a father, I look at that and I go, that's successful. That's going to be successful in business. That's going to be successful in relationships. That's such a big thing. So that old adage of walk in there like you own the place, it's never let me down. I've been called cocky in my life. I don't know why. Can't imagine. But I've never had anybody that I really care about or really cared what they thought of me ever look at that and go, who's this guy? Because if you take the time,
I think the best part about that for your daughter is that she will never ever be a target. It's impossible 100%. For her to be a target when she is that confident. And when she is Pat confident, like she can walk into any room, have any conversation, and it's adult. It's not like she just comes and doesn't. Like some kids are confident and they come and they bring nothing to the conversation.
Yeah.
She comes and brings intelligent wisdom to the conversation because she listens. She inhales everything you talk about, everything I've talked about, everything Pat's talked about, everything her grandpa's talked about. She has inhaled, and she can regurgitate it in such a way that you just forget this young, beautiful woman is a child. And
it's almost like you're doting on your goddaughter or something.
No,
you're like,
not me.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
Well, he shouldn't he?
Absolutely, and he is. James is my daughter's goddaughter, so it is a whole thing, and I appreciate it, pal. You know that more than anything.
That's wonderful.
Apparently, it's the love show now.
Yeah, we don't get to do this. Usually, we play slightly different characters on Soaring Prophets when we do this. Where I'm kind of the, can I swear?
Of course,
I'm the asshole.
Yes.
And James is like the touchy-feely guy. I feel like I've really kind of taken the shirt off and just kind of being exposed to it tonight. So
they're seeing your soft, moldy center that I talk about on every show that everyone's like, yeah,
moldy. Is that what that was? Moldy center? Like the Grinch? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's what I said, but not quite what I meant. I'm sorry, Isabel. We're just taking
hey guys, this is I'm just the facilitator. This is your show. This is not about me. And it's so funny, Pat, because even when I was on you guys' show, you said a few things about yourself, and I thought, why is he being unkind to himself? Because you're not an asshole. You're you've got this great heart, and you're really, really kind, and you
got
really
her
listen,
fooled.
and you listen to people.
Don't talk to any of her exes. I'm just
You can't trust an ex for nothing.
Exactly.
You can't.
That's
trust
what we say. Yeah.
Hey, if you speak to any of mine, especially the last one, he's going to say I'm a bee with an itch. And you know what? I don't think he would be wrong because with him, I was.
I asked if I could swear, and now you're pulling bee with itches. And
wow.
I guess it is 10:30 in the morning, so I will be further respectful of the.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Actually, you know what? To be very honest, Pat, the reason I did that is because I'm. As you can tell by my French accent, English is not my mother tongue. So swearing in English doesn't mean the same for me. So I tend to throw a lot of these words around, and I'm trying to watch that because it doesn't, if I talk about my ex-boss who was an asshole, well, he was an asshole. I can't say that he was kind of not nice. He was an asshole.
Right.
He was
but
probably well known for
if I can avoid it, I do, because I find that it means more to the audience. And if it's going to be free, then there's no point to it.
Right.
So that's why I went bee with an itch here.
I like
but yeah. I think we on some levels, especially with our exes, if we didn't part ways in a nice and polite and respectful way, then we always stay with this kind of a bad vibe or a bad taste in our mouth, right?
I think that people change when they're with certain people.
I agree.
Extent. And if you are like fire and oil, you are different people, and you do sometimes become an asshole, or you do become like not nice. And then there's other times that you become a doormat, like it just depends. I don't think Pat's experienced that, but others.
Well, I don't know the story there, so I'm not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole as far as Pat is concerned. But I agree with you. I think that I think that there are some people in this life that brings out the worst in you, and there are
Mhm.
people in this life that brings out the best in you. And obviously, if you were no longer with that person, either you waited too long and that person drew the worst out of you, or you drew the worst out of them, and that's why
Yeah.
it's not amicable. It's, but and sometimes I feel that sometimes we need to look at the other one as an ass. It's like this and that
Yeah.
happened, and I feel like a victim, and I was kind of, and even though you can only be victim if you accept to be one, but it's kind of a way to protect yourself, I think.
It is
But
much
we're
easier to walk away from someone you hate than someone you still love and cherish.
goddamn
Absolutely.
and
So if you
hallelujah.
can like
Yeah,
list the things you hate about them, then you can leave and not ache as
yeah,
much, I guess. So
yeah.
yeah, I think that is a method. It's not a method I adhere to, but I still like all my exes, even the
Oh,
ones that
I
didn't.
don't.
And do they like you?
I still
Good
like all my
question, Fred.
exes, even the ones I've done wrong.
Yeah, well played, sir. It was good. Very political. I
um,
see we're still running for prime minister if the
geez.
opportunity arises.
I think
Got
there
it.
might be two that still talk to me.
Yeah.
Out of no,
Three.
never mind. Uh,
A few.
I
A
know a
few.
few. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't want to ask, because since you're allowed to ask me anything you want at the end of the show, I don't
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
that to come back and bite
Yeah.
me in the
The
ass.
worse
Yeah.
the worse it gets for us, the worse it'll get for you. I'm just saying.
Exactly. I have a funny feeling I'd lose that battle. Yeah. So
Two
we're
against
gonna
one.
go back to James, and James, I
Ooh.
want to know: have you found something you're truly, truly passionate about, regardless if you made a business out of it or not? And if you did, something that really tickles your soul and makes your soul sing? And if so, how did you find that?
So my passion found me when I was, I don't know, probably 4 years old. It has always been helping people. It's always been having a listening ear and giving advice. I struggle with giving good advice to myself, but I'm great at giving good advice to other people. So total strangers will walk up to me, and just because of who I am and the inquisitive nature of myself, we end up in these very deep, thoughtful conversations, and I tend to find the things that they're struggling with and try to offer good advice. So I think my passion has always been helping people discover themselves and discover maybe a path forward that is slightly better than the one that they're on now. And I've been doing that for years. And Soaring Profits, this show that we do, kind of helps us with that, because I get to explore the stories of champions, because I want people to know that when champions fall down, uh, that champions do fall down, that these like pillars, these people that we see every day that are doing the things like Isabel here, that are amazing, they fall down. Pat falls down. The only difference between Pat, Isabel, and maybe you, because you're still on your knees, is because you haven't got back up yet. And if you
Mm.
get back up, I'm telling you right now, you'll be just as great as Pat and Isabel. That's
Thank
all you have
you.
to
And
do. That
James.
is the only difference. And that's what Soaring Profits is about for me. And that's my mission. Is that was the biggest thing that I found when helping people, that they either didn't want to get out of the depths that they're in, because some people enjoy being in the depths, or they didn't think there was a way out because it was so dark in there they couldn't see any light.
Mm. Mm.
And I just want everyone to know that even the strongest, the biggest, the people who are most successful in this world right now, they've been on their knees praying to God with tears in their eyes. And the only difference is they got back up. So get back up. That's my thing. Yeah.
And what do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? I do a lot of things for fun now. Now that I lost quite a bit of weight. I lost 152 pounds. So now I do all kinds of things. I've bungee jumped. I've did fake skydiving where you're over a fan. This year I'm going to go skydiving. I'm going to do a triathlon this year. I've completed marathons. But my passion right now is running. I can't wait to run. Yesterday, I was running in pouring rain. It was like, I think it was 7 out, which I don't know what it is in American. I guess I don't have to transfer to American on
No,
this show because we're all
no.
Canadians. Yeah. So it
They
was
can
7
figure it out. Let them figure it out.
pouring rain, and I was supposed to do a 5K, and I was loving it so much, Isabel. I did 9K. Like
Oh, that's beautiful.
I just loved it. I just love running, and the more adverse it is, the better. I love challenging myself. So that is my passion right now. That and Soaring Profits. I do like having these conversations late at night in Isabel's bed. Right.
I'm gonna be like shameless plug, but shameless plug.
Yes,
shameless plug.
That was shameless. But I called for it. It was totally my fault. I'll
She did try to start the show with us.
I know it
That's
was or never. I shouldn't have done that. But anyways, it's okay. I got a big dog who just showed up on my lap again.
Excellent.
Pat, back to you. What is your passion, and related to work or not related to work, and how did you find yours?
Well, that's such a good question. I think it goes to, exactly why you do this, is that you dig down into people's motivations and their passions and what drives them, right? So my biggest passion and where I am, especially in my life, I'm 37 years old. I have a 14-year-old daughter. You can do the math on that. So my daughter's success is my passion. And I know that kind of comes across as, is this the guy who's trying to get his kid in the NHL or the whatever's next? But when I was young, when I was 22 years old and found out I was going to have a daughter, my life changed and pivoted. And I knew that for myself, that there was no way in hell that I was going to be a statistic. I wasn't going to allow my family to be a statistic. And I knew that my daughter wasn't going to end up being a statistic. So for me, my passion, my drive has come from my entrepreneurial endeavors. I've owned multiple businesses. I own multi-family real estate portfolios. I invest and trade the stock market on the daily basis. These things are my driving and kind of my northern light, if you will, on making sure that my daughter has a platform to jump off of as she gets older. And again, at 14 years old in grade 9 here in our town, in a beautiful high school, I look at her and I see the friends she's making, the relationships she's making, and I stand back and I give myself a lot of credit, but that passion, that always being there. And James can attest, there's not a rugby game, there's not a volleyball game, there's not a soccer game, there's not any of those that I'm not there for, because that's my passion. My goal is to make sure that she has that opportunity to jump and leap into that next opportunity. So where my passions come from are not egotistical. They're not something that I drive my personal value from. They're where I'm going to get to sit back in the next 10 years and watch my grandchildren. That's where I'm building now, is my legacy and where that comes off of. And maybe that's the egotistical side of it, is that the legacy piece. But my daughter should not be where she is. My family should not be where we are. And like I was saying, before my father passed away, my father and my mother, during COVID, they moved in with me. So I became a caregiver, a provider for my parents, but also, like I say, the full-time caregiver and parent for my daughter, who is with me full time. So my passion and what I drive my self-worth from is looking and making sure that my people are taken care of well, and that they're doing and conquering amazing challenges within their own life. And I'm probably one of those parents that is driving and pushing my daughter and making sure that she's doing the things that she should be. But I am also one of those guys that I value, I think, and I think she would tell you, is that I'm also the biggest bear hug in town. And, I love you so much and all that. I'm very emotionally supportive for her as well. So there's two sides of it. I think that passion side of it is strong in my drive for her and what I want for her. But it also comes from the knowledge of knowing that, as a young parent, single parent at 21 years old, 22 years old, statistics were not on my side. So we had to do something different. We had to push hard, and we have.
And
yeah, I'd have to agree. Sorry, Pat does that very well. So he is a guider. He guides with love and with wisdom. And there are a lot of times that she has to go, like, jump off the branch and go do what she has to do. Like in coaches, like there's been times where she's had to tell a coach that she has to miss a practice because something has come up super important, which is rare, but she has to go do it. He doesn't go do it, or she has to tell a teacher, I got to get some, I can't, get some work done because I'm going to be here, but how do I get it done? And she goes and does that herself. He guides her well, but he's always there at the end of the day with a hug. And, if she becomes tearful, he's there for her in an appropriate way. So, yeah, he has every
And the
right
occasional suck it up, buttercup. But yeah.
The occasional.
Yeah.
When she needs
And
it.
that's necessary.
When she does.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes it is necessary. But Pat, like, I don't know your story, and I don't want you to. Well, if you want to, go ahead. But I'm not asking you to share the entire details of that. But was that an easy decision for you? I don't know what the circumstances were when someone, obviously not you, got pregnant. But was that an easy decision for you to say, I'm going to assume that role, and that's going to be who I am now, and that's it?
So as far as ease of decision, yes, absolutely. As far as process,
No.
absolutely not. Train wreck, nightmare. Our legal
Yes.
system is a shambles. And as far as fathers going and receiving rights within the Canadian legal system, it's an uphill battle. So I fought tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees, long battle, sleepless nights, lots of things that never should have happened. And like I say, is that's why I my drive, and I work so hard for what I need and want within my family, my little star, if you will, that my compass is for that, because the alternative is not good. And that's, I wasn't going to allow that to happen, because that was something that I could control. There was a lot of things that I could not control. There was a lot of things that I left up to fate and faith, sorry. And that was something that I could control. It was, if I'm there, then there can never be that you weren't there.
Yeah.
Right. So I showed up, and I showed up driving hours and hours and hours and hours and hours to make sure that she knew that I was there. And that was super important. She always knew that she could look up in the stands and see dad. She always knew that she could, whatever, if there was a problem. And I think I get that a lot from my father, is the fact that his father wasn't there because he passed away when he was young. And that was not going to be something that my child ever had to deal with. And she hasn't. And that's why our bond is so close that it is now. We are, we're father, daughter, but also best friends, right? And you got to rein her in every once in a while, but she knows it comes from a good place, and she'll tell you that. But it is,
you're a parent first.
100%. And, when that report card comes home, and my daughter's, an 85 plus student usually, but I'm always like, but what could we do better? And it's, like, well, like, give me a break, Dad. It's an 87 in English. Like, what are you ragging on me for? But I go, no, but is there a 95? Is there, like, where do we go from here? And because of that, she's a fairly high achiever. She's an excellent athlete, has been a competitive gymnast to the provincial level. She just won her high school rugby regionals here. So she'll be going off provincials in the spring. Now playing volleyball. She's playing in grade 9 on the high school team. Like, she's a high achiever, and that's because the goals are set high. She's also there with me when we do all of our business dealings. When I have tenants in our multifamily buildings that we do, she's calling references at 11, 12, 13 years old. So she's learning to communicate with people. She's doing these things. It's because one day, the castle will be hers.
Yeah.
So if you don't have those skills, you're going to get lost.
Yeah.
I think that's super important as being a father is one, your child always has to know, no matter what time. Both my kids know, no matter what time, 3 a.m. I'm going to be there. I'm going to answer that phone no matter what. And I'm going to come. And yeah, I may judge you, but I'm not going to judge you so harshly that you will not feel loved. But I will be there. And I will be there with solid advice, and you will be safe immediately, because that's what I provide, and that's what I care most about. But yeah, no, you may be in trouble, but it will be a trouble place of love. And you have to, that is the hardest line to toe, is the letting them know that there are limits, but you're loved when you go past those limits, even so. Like, when you go past that limit, yeah, you screwed up bad, but I'm going to love you.
I love you no matter what.
And part of that, like, I like how you said, because I did that with my kids all the time when they came. Even when I remember my son came home with a test that was 98, I'm like, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. So where'd the 2% go? And in a nice way, he knew exactly, because we've been doing it for years. And I'm like, you have to know. And that's what we always talk about, is that it is great that you're doing so well, but let's learn from the stuff that we didn't get. Let's just look at it. It's not that you're bad. It's not that you didn't do okay. It's not that there's anything wrong with you. There's nothing. But if we can look at that and from what the teacher put down, not make that mistake again, isn't that a beautiful thing? Why wouldn't we take that opportunity to learn from it?
To learn. Yeah.
So let's do it.
It's not a punishment.
It doesn't make you bad. Yeah.
I was just going to say, it's not a punishment for the
No.
for the 2 points that are missing. It's to understand where there's a mistake that was made, or there's something that you didn't learn. So let's figure out why you didn't learn it, and give you the tools to learn it.
Oh, you're not supposed to lock them in the basement?
Yeah, well, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, you can come out. Come
You're
on.
still supposed
funny.
to provide dinner, though, Pat. Like that's where that's where I draw the line when I come over and she's in the basement without
water
food.
bottle.
Water bottle,
bread.
yeah, that's enough.
Yeah.
And at the
hamster
there
water
with
bottle.
the books, that's
Yeah.
enough. Exactly. It's so funny because Pat, when you speak of your daughter, I think of my childhood because I was raised with only my dad, and I see a lot of similarities. My dad was very liberal in the sense that he didn't have a lot of rules. Less than, I think, anyway, I'm assuming, but less than if my mom had been alive, but the rules he had, though. And it's so funny because I imitate him from when I was a kid, because he would eat his soup and he would, eat his soup like this. And if I asked him a question, he would only raise his eyes like that. So it was, that to me meant this question is not even deserving of me spending the energy to raise my entire head.
Right.
So yeah, but daughters and dads,
Mhm.
it's a very, very special link. And like I said, growing up with only a father, it's dad becomes hero real quick. And it's important to show the love and to show that she's beautiful, and and while being able to just pat the butt, and say, okay, hon, you got to go now. And
100%.
yeah.
Well, I'm still in that lucky age group dynamic. We'll see how this goes over the next couple
Well,
of years.
she's 14.
Right.
She's supposed to be a teenager now. So if
That's the hard part that dad's dealing with. She's got it down. Like, as far as being a 14-year-old, she's nailed it. Yeah. Dad's the tough guy here with trying to deal with it. But I still have this place with her friends that, she's got a very recent new boyfriend that she met. And the first thing, I was there when they actually met. And the first thing he said to her was, "Is that your dad?" And she's like, "Yeah." And his exact words were, "He's an intimidating dude." So I'm like, I got this. We are good. The foundation is set. I can keep running with this for a while now. So yeah, we're good for a minute. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah, you don't need to scare her. You need to scare them.
That's it. Seemed like a nice young man. Terrified, but a nice young man. I do remember I met him in a restaurant parking lot, and I shook his hand. He looked terrified.
Yeah. Well, James is about 6'4". I'm 6'1", and this kid walks up, and this little grade 9 kid, right? Like, what are these two?
Actually, I want to bounce off that subject to the both of you. So, since neither of you are with your kid's mother, how did you deal with introducing a new woman or the new person that you're dating into your kids' lives? I know, James, your kids are older and they're out of the house and stuff, but how do you deal with that, the both of you, in whoever wants to answer first?
Well, I can answer
okay,
first.
So
it's very easy
to
for
our
me.
next question.
Yeah, it's very easy for me because I get to date them I can date them for a long period of time before I introduce them to my kids. And to be honest, it's got to be a while. I got to trust them. First of all, it doesn't necessarily mean that I think that we'll be together forever. It means that I have to trust them. They have to meet a certain criteria to meet my kids. They can't be low lifes. They can't be someone who's going to bring them down. They can't be people that are going to make my children lesser or hurt my children in any way. Not that I date people like that, but there are certain criteria, and I need to know that before, and I need to know their friends won't do that. Like it's I need to know that the orbit around them is safe for my children before they go. So they've met a few of them, and the running joke is that here's your new mom, here's your new mommy. But
Oh, that's funny.
but yeah, so they've only met a couple, and there are several they haven't met, and some of it is, so if you're out there watching, it's not because you're a lowlife. Some of it was timing, because my kids live so far away, so that there was an opportunity to see them. And some of it is that they didn't make the cut, that I just decided that they aren't someone I want. Like, they're great for me because they're a lot of fun, but they aren't someone I want my children to be around.
Yeah,
Understood.
as for me, like, no one meets my daughter. Like,
Okay.
that's basically
Yeah,
where I
well, she's
start
not the
off.
same age either.
Right. So
No.
no one meets my daughter, and then it has to be a fairly significant, serious situation before that even comes into a thing. Where most situations, it's they were a friend, and you see them at a thing, and you do something with them vicariously that way. So,
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the problem with that is it might have worked when she was 7. When she's gonna be 15, 16, 17, she's gonna see through that.
Yes. So those are the little
Sorry.
things that we run into now, because it used to be that I would get in the car and I would be like, "Oh, who's that guy?" And now my daughter is like, who's that?" So you're absolutely right, Isabel. You must. It's almost like you do this with people, like drill down
Yeah,
to get to the
deep.
core of what they are and who they are, because you called
Yeah.
that as clear as day.
So
But that is
and she was
definitely
a teenage girl with a dad, and so she probably watched it.
Right.
And knows.
actually, funny enough, no, because my dad remarried twice after my mom passed, and he never. I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but he actually never dated. So the woman he married after my mom passed away had been his high school sweetheart. So he knew her from a long time, and they reconnected, and they actually quite quickly got married. And the lady she's the wonderful that I love, truly love her, that he's married to now. They have been married 37 years, and I'm 52.
Yeah.
So she showed up in my life. I was 12. I loved her from the get-go.
That's cool.
And 3 years later they married. And she has 6 kids, and there are 3 siblings. So they both waited until every single kids of hers were out of the house so that they wouldn't mix the kids.
Right.
So I'm the youngest of the 9. So when they got married, I was the only one that lived with them. But no, I truly, truly adore her, and I always did.
Yeah.
But I think that she came into my life at my right age, because 2 or 3
Absolutely.
years older, and it would have been a different story, I think.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, and I
but
think that
12.
as a young woman, though, too, right? You're looking for female role models, and especially if she was such a positive role model for you, right? That you can ease into that a little bit. It kind of breaks down some of those barriers between it's not just me and
Yes.
dad, or
Yeah.
when you're a little girl, it's daddy. Daddy is everything. So you don't have this woman that all of a sudden is folding socks in a different way and running the house in a different way. So I know that
and the other thing I was just gonna say, and the other thing is, she was so non-threatening, and she still is non-threatening, in the sense that she is she's very conscious of her role in our lives. So I mean, I'll give you an example. I go to my dad's house for lunch with the both of them, and very discreetly after lunch, all of a sudden she's no longer sitting at the table, and I didn't even see her go. Because it's very important for the both of them, because he does the same thing when her kids are in the house, where they allow the other one that special moment with their children, knowing that they didn't have kids together, so they don't impose themselves.
Right.
So because of that, it was very,
That's
it was
beautiful.
very, yeah. And she's still like that.
Well, and so symbiotic of a relationship, you know, whether they've had that discussion or not, to be able to know, okay, that's my exit. I'm going to go do X, Y, and Z. Isabella and your father need to, you know, they have to have a chat. They're going to do their thing. They're going to have that time where, you know, they're not in touch every day. So I'm going to just exit stage left here, and away we go.
And she does
that's a pretty tough thing too, is moving into a relationship with a woman who has a child or children, because you have an idea of how children should be raised and treated, and the woman that you're with doesn't always have that same idea. Right. So as you get closer and better, you have to know your place. You have to know the fact that you don't, but at the same time, it's hard because you start caring about the children in such a way that you feel that kind of responsible for them as well. So you want to give that advice. You want to be more involved. So it's quite a tightrope, and it can cause a lot of problems. Sure. So it sounds like they're doing it the right way.
Yeah, I think I know this is going to sound really bad, but it really doesn't come from a bad place. But I think that the fact that my mom no longer is, I mean, she can't take her place. She's not there. So she's non-threatening for everybody, right?
Right.
So, and one of the most beautiful, and we'll move on after that, but one of the most beautiful things she ever told me, her name is Colette, and actually, sidebar, when we met, she's 5 foot nothing, and when we met, we were the same age, with the same height, and I'm 5'10" now, and so every time I go to their house and I give her a big hug, I'm a master hugger. I should do that for a living. So I give her a big hug, and she kind of rests here, and she looks up at me and she says, "What the hell happened to you? We were the same height." So anyway, I find that very, very funny.
I like that. That's good. Yeah.
But she, and one day she said, you know, and it was just a conversation between her and I, and she said, you know, Isabel, the love of your dad's life is still your mom to this day. Is still your mom, but your father has a big enough heart to love me too. And I thought, wow, I mean, I'm even getting teary-eyed now, guys, because this was love, and it was kindness, and it was acceptance, and it was knowing that even if she wasn't her husband's the love of his life, she still mattered, and she still had her place. And that showed me such emotional maturity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what that's what I take from that. Yeah. But moving on, because we got so sidetracked, but I love that.
We're all talkers, and that may have been a mistake to have us on your show, because we don't shut up. We really don't. Like, we never get to talk on our show because we're always trying to like exhibit and show the person that's on our show. So you've released a beast that you may not be able to put back in the cage. I apologize.
No, don't apologize.
I hope you have a long commute on Thursday morning, almost 11.
If not, watch the replay. Hey, listen, I usually give about 45 to 50 minutes per guest. There are 2 of them now, so that's going to be what it's going to be. If you don't like
and Pat is quite hideous, so I wouldn't look at him, but I would take the time to check out James. He is beautiful.
You know.
Inside out.
Godlike.
So go back and look at all of your life, all of you've done for work, not for work, for fun, and tell me what's the common thread. So what could be your purpose? And I know I'm going to start with James, but I know, James, you're going to go back to your passion, because helping others more than likely is your passion. So your purpose. So try to find something adjacent. Try to find something like if you connect the dot, what's the common thread?
Okay. I can do that. So I am, like Pat said,
one of the,
sorry?
That therapy's finally paying off.
That therapy is finally paying off, which I truly believe in. If you're not in therapy, please invest in today. So what I would say is that it was one of the things that Pat and I like resonate with is we're both firm believers in God. And God has touched my life in so many beautiful ways. And I am not a preacher of the faith. I'm not a preacher of God's word, none of that. But I do believe that God has put me on this earth to help others. And he puts me in front of people that need me. It is the oddest places that I will find people in need. And it's because God has given me the eye and the ear to notice others in the room. And so I could be at a party, I could be walking down the street, I could be on a bus, I could be walking into a store, and I will just notice something different in a person. And I will take the time to walk up to them and talk, much to my children's chagrin. In fact, last night we went to see the musical Chicago, and I started talking to a young lady right beside me, and my kids were not thrilled. But it's just who I am. I notice the people that are sometimes unnoticed in the world. So I work in a school, and there was this young lady who was standing, it was kindergarten, and there was this young lady standing in the corner by a fence all by herself, not crying, not upset. She was playing with a doll, just sitting there. And I noticed that everyone else is playing with someone. So I walked over to her, and the reason she wasn't playing with anyone is because she was shy. She didn't know how to ask. And that's what she kind of was able to tell me. So there was like a Pat in the room, and this young lady who was like the life of the place. She was just out there, exuberant. So I brought her over and I said, this young lady has no one to play with. And I would love if you would take today and just show her around and have some fun with her. So grade 8, it's graduation day. And they both come up to me and go, do you know how we met? I'm like, haven't got the sweetest clue, but you've been best friends the whole time I've known you anyway. And they told me that story. So from that day, all I did was put them together, and they became best friends, and both of them became better for it. And that is my mission in earth. I put people together that change the world.
You didn't remember?
I did not remember.
Oh my God.
I had no idea, but I have not forgotten.
Wednesdays.
Since
He
they
just
told
has
me.
this knack of jumping in and helping people. Like, I'm gonna pump your tires for a second, pal, because as a buddy, I certainly can. But in our community here, we've got a huge homelessness problem, and I'll get messages at 5, 6 o'clock, because that's when James is out and around. And all of a sudden he's like, hey man, if I get stabbed here, just let me know. I'll let you know if I make it through this. And I will wake up to that message, and I'll be like, dude, what are you talking about 3 hours later? Because I'm not like you guys. I don't wake up at the crack of dawn. And you'll be like, there was like a homeless lady on the side of the road, and I had to just stop and find out if she was okay. I went over, kind of, got her up. She screamed and yelled at me, called me every name in the book. And then I'm like, I guess you're good. Moving on with your day. But that is who James is. And I really do believe that he's been put here for a purpose. And with what we do with Soaring Profits, I see it every day, because James is that guy. He's just that, he has that people-centered passion, and he talks to people, really pulls out their stories, and has that, really soft spot for him, where I'm a bit more of an asshole. So,
you're not.
But I don't want to take away from James.
No, you're not an asshole. I disagree.
You're not.
No.
Yeah. So same question, Pat. Not that I'm
Same-
taking over the show.
Thank you, James. Go
Let's
right
get off
ahead. You want me to
James.
make you host?
Co-host.
I would love to be a host with you. Are you kidding? Could you imagine the fun we'd have on this show?
Oh,
We'd
there
feel like
was-
everyone
there-
would be watching. Between
there
your
would
beauty and
be-
my handsome and our gift of gab, we would kill it.
Terrible.
We would
Honey.
destroy it.
you're
Yeah.
going to have to come to Montreal now.
I am. That's true.
Okay, wonderful. Pat,
Yeah.
same question.
What time should I
honey.
be there? I have to
Hey,
be free this
anytime.
weekend. I hear
I'll be
we're
late for
dancing
dinner.
this weekend.
Hey,
Wild.
you want to come dancing on
Pat, can
Saturday
you
night?
leave?
Come on.
Yeah. I'll
Patrick,
just be in
why
the
are you
green
still
room if
here?
anyone needs me with Mark Reed.
Why are you still here?
Yeah. No,
No, Pat, seriously, same question.
well, as far as passion, I think that passion is somewhat hard to just like nail down as what it is. So I'm 37 years old. My passions are getting up in the morning and making sure that the trains arrive on time at this point in my life. I kind of explained a little bit earlier of who I am and what I am when it regards to family. And passion is something that I've put off that, the instant gratification until my daughter's very settled, moving on and doing that sort of thing. So that's, as far as passion, I have great friends, I have fantastic family, and making sure that, like I say, the trains run on time and everything is smooth and people's lives are moving in a better path. That's where I find a lot of my personal self-worth, and that passionate realm, I guess you'd say. It's what I find and I focus on. This whole deal with Soaring Profits that James and I have put together is something that we've really started tackling of late. And again, shameless plug, check us out on YouTube, LinkedIn, all those things. But it's become a bit of a labor of love, because it's something that we do. We see these opportunities grow. But as far as business, I'm very passionate about that. I've always enjoyed it. I enjoy the art of the deal. I really enjoy kind of making things happen when there's the opportunity to do something like that. But again, I've got a great team around me that supports me, whether it be my family, whether it be my great friends like James, that we're always kind of pulling in that commonality, in that common direction to make things happen. So as far as passions, I started my first business when I was 17 years old with my dad, right? So I've been in some form of business. I've bought and sold businesses. I've traveled. I've, been all across Canada, 48 or 50 states, all through the islands. We're going to be tackling Europe next year. My daughter, she's going for rugby international next year. So we're going to be going to England, Ireland, and Scotland with the school, apparently. This is all just came home in a letter before.
I was going to say.
Yeah, this is new.
I haven't even heard about this.
Yeah, you'll get the letter here soon, pal.
By me.
I know. I gotta see if I can get the day off with the boss here, but no. So those sorts of things are.
James, I'll fill in for Pat that week.
Right. Exactly.
Like
perfect.
That'd be perfect.
But yeah, so as far as passions, is that when you're having a family and you're focusing on your family, the Friday nights with the boys have never been something that I've cared about. No. It's not something for me that I focus on, because again, on Friday nights I was standing in cold gymnasiums with my daughter, or I was, working on different projects that we'd be doing together. I've renovated a number of homes. All of these things, they become my passion projects. But where do I garner my fulfillment from? It's that, when you wake up in the morning and you see that 14-year-old come down for breakfast, and, she has everything that she wants, has everything that she needs, and she's going out and achieving. And that's where I draw a lot of my self-worth from.
I would say Pat's passion is of defender. If we were in medieval times, he would be a Templar knight. He stands before people in such the most eloquent way, without anger and without vengeance, but there's that quiet, I could do something, but I won't. But you're going to do what I need. There have been many times, there's been times during COVID when people were dying inside a hospital that he ensured that family got to see the person inside that was passing away. There are times that a young man may have been stranded in Ottawa because he had a spat with a young lady, and he has willingly driven the 4 hours to go get him. Or maybe the young man lost a key in Toronto, and he dropped everything.
This young man sounds like a real troublesome character.
He is a troublesome. He makes a lot of mistakes. No, but that is Pat's. I would say that's Pat's passion
behind there. I'm
yeah, there might be. We're not going to discuss any of this.
Okay, that's fine.
But no, when I look at Pat, I see him as a defender, very much like a Templar knight, a knight that stands before and in front of people to make sure that they don't feel the pain that is coming. And I respect him greatly for it.
That's very kind of you.
Well, I think James, you're not the only one that thinks that, because before I went on your show, I had my first one-on-one with Sia. It was just getting to know one another one-on-one, and she was telling me that. Sia. Oh, me too. What's not to love? Come on.
She is amazing.
And I want to be her when I grow up. But no, seriously, we were having just a conversation. I was telling that I was so excited that because I was going on your show, and I'm a real fan. I'm not even kidding. I'm a real fan of the Soaring Profits. I love what you guys do. I love the authenticity. I love the fact that it's about the other person. It's about putting value and shining your light on these people, and being the beneficiary of that once was so amazing. But back to my story about Sia, I was just telling her, how excited I was to go on your show, and she right away she said, "Pat, I went through something." She never told me what it was, and that's okay. It was none of my business. She said, "I
Yeah.
went through something recently," and Pat reached out and say, "I'm gonna kick that person's butt." And I thought, yeah, that's what he looks like. He looks like someone who say, "Okay, you're not gonna hurt anyone I love,
Yeah.
and if you do, you're gonna be looking for a bruising." So I feel that from you.
Well, I appreciate that. Yes, and Sia needed someone to kick some butt, so we just
Well,
take care of that as we do. So
We do.
if
Yeah.
ever she needs someone to get their ass kicked, let me know. I'll hold them down.
absolutely, that's
Oh, absolutely.
that works out.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we've been talking for an hour and 5 minutes, and anything you got, and you don't have to, but this is kind of my game.
No, hey, I told you
Oh,
that I was
no,
getting
no,
a
you
new
don't
pen and
have to. I
paper.
like that.
No, I'm not.
No, like if you don't want
Yeah.
to, we'll just end
I
the
don't-
show here. It's been long.
No,
Might as well
actually,
let
the
this
reason I
go.
say that is because
We
some
do
people are
ending.
going, "Oh, well, I don't know what to ask you."
Yeah, not this
Um,
crowd. That's for
Oh,
darn
no.
tootin'. You
No.
brought on professional podcasters that are here.
Yeah,
We can come up with anything off the top of our head. So
Oh,
my
absolutely.
question is
I
about
should have known better.
Yeah, I'm going first.
Sorry, I
She's afraid.
apologize.
Do you see how afraid she is?
Pat, go. No, I'm not afraid. No, I'm not. Go ahead, Pat. I'm
So my
listening. Pat.
question, Miss Isabel, and I think it goes to kind of the theme that is, come from my discussion here today,
Yes.
is that if you had your mother here today, what is one question that you would ask her?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I don't think I could limit it to one.
You only get one.
I only get one.
No, I'm only kidding. I'm just trying to put some
No,
parameters.
actually, no, it's okay. I'll play your game. If I only had one, my question would be, how did you know to choose dad?
Wow.
That's
What
a
a
beautiful question.
Yeah, because my parents were so deeply in love and so perfect for one another. And I mean, it's not that they didn't argue or anything like that, but they truly respected and admired one another. And for reason beyond my understanding, excuse me, I have never been able to find that kind of connection with a man. And I love men. I truly, that's my problem maybe. I truly love men. So I don't know how you recognize the one.
Right.
And I don't know if it's luck or if it's a choice so that would be my question. Is there some
You guys
question?
are amazing. Like, I don't even know how to follow that, but I do have a question for you.
Okay.
So from the time you were born till now, what is a moment, if you wish to share, that you thought you could never, there's no possible way you can overcome this? This is it. I cannot go one step further. This is it.
Bad or good?
Doesn't matter. It's up to you. Cannot go one step further. This is it.
Oh, that's a really good question. Ironically, the hardest thing, I'm going to go bad, but I'm going to do both. Okay.
Okay.
So ironically, the hardest thing that it ever happened to me in my life was not my mother's death, although it was horrible. And it took me, I've shared that on your show. It took me three decades to actually come to terms with it and figure out that life was worth living anyway. The hardest thing that I ever had to do was see my brother survive his wife's suicide.
Wow.
And my brother is 6'4". He's 250 pounds. He looks like a natural born killer. He's shaves his head. He's got the biggest belly laugh. He's got the biggest heart. And he's So I can't even share how important my siblings are to me.
Right.
And seeing his life destroyed was the hardest thing I ever had to do or witness because I was powerless.
That is
Because
the thing.
when I'm hurting, I know I have the tools to get out.
Yeah.
And at temporarily, thank goodness it was temporary, but temporarily he didn't have the tools to get over it.
Yeah.
And being there and being a witness and being completely depleted of ways to help him. That
Yeah.
was the hardest motherfucking thing I ever had happen to my life.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than when
Thanks for sharing that. You're right.
Yeah.
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 When you have to watch from the sidelines
Yeah,
and you know that nothing you say, nothing you do,
I can save him.
like literally all you can do is be beside them.
Yeah.
And that sometimes is enough. Don't get me wrong. It is heart-wrenching. And it seems like, yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. That is a powerful moment. I'm assuming that it has
My
gotten better and he has
yes, yeah,
seen.
thank God. And to this day, she passed away in 2018, and to this day, if he introduces me to someone I don't know, he'll say, "This is my baby sister. She saved my life."
That's beautiful.
And
Like,
it
what
gets
more as a
me.
family can you ask for?
Wow.
Like, that is such a
Yeah,
beautiful.
it gets me every
Yeah.
time. It
Yeah.
gets me every time. I'm I I'm I'm very, very hot-blooded. I'm very, as you guys know, I'm very opinionated. I can come across as an asshole too. Just because I'm headstrong and what I think is what I think. It doesn't mean I'm right. It just means that's what I think.
Sorry, did you say you were Quebecois?
Yeah.
Well,
Man.
Generality.
Um,
My bad.
in
but
Canada,
it
well known.
is just,
Mhm.
I don't know. My seeing my brother like that was just, yeah. It was the hardest thing. I physically held him up. Physically. Okay, so
It-
Oscar decided that
it's
he was roaming around.
it's
Um,
interesting you say that because you triggered a memory of mine that I kind of forgot. I don't know if I buried it. My when my dad told me that my mom had MS, and he was a 6'3" guy, and he was way bigger than me, and my hero, he told me and then crumbled in my arms. I don't know, I was a kid. I wasn't very, like, I was a teenager.
yeah.
And I remember that moment, like the first time he ever cried in front of me. Last time he ever cried in front of me. Never cried again in front of me. But he was a pile of goo. And his words were, "I just can't believe I finally realized that I love her." And I was
No.
like, "Oh my God, what a time to realize that you love someone."
Yeah.
It was wild. Anyway, it just triggered that memory. And again, nothing I could do. Here's my hero falling, but it didn't take long. And then he just became, like Pat says, John Wayne again. Like it was just, here's my moment, but never lets it happen. Again, it's not something he would do. But anyway, it triggered that. And you just don't know what to do except hold on tight.
There's nothing you
Hold
can
on
do
tight.
except be there.
Yeah.
It's the, yeah. And positive, because I want to share something positive. I'm looking for
Mhm.
hmm.
We aren't just tear jerkers around here, folks.
No.
What'd you say? When my daughter was born, my first child, both my children were huge, beautiful moments in my life. But my daughter, I remember it distinctly. They put her in my arms, just born, and I put my finger in front of her, and she grabbed onto it, and immediately I'm like, one day I'm going to do 8 years in jail for you. I just know it. I will literally kill anyone who messes with you. And I tell her that now, today, call me anytime. I will do 28. There better not be a man or a woman that ever makes you sad or hurt you, because it will not. Yeah. And that was my moment. That was the moment that I knew. Like she just grabbed onto my finger, looked me dead in the eyes, and I'm like, I am done. I'm never, I can't recover from this.
Yep.
I'm now
Well,
owned
we've
by
got
a
our
baby girl.
We've got a bit of a running joke. I've got a boat, and I've always said that, like, if anyone needs to hide a body, we just take it out in the lake. No one needs to know nothing. So, RCMP, OPP, if you hear this, not true.
It's a joke.
I was
But if
saying
anyone
that,
needs a boat, let me know.
Yeah.
I was saying that to my best friend the other day, and she said, "I'm sorry, I haven't been calling." And I said, "Am I the kind of friend that that phones you every day?" She says, "No." She says, "Am I the kind of friend who texts you every day?" She says, "No." I said, "No, but if you call at 3 a.m., give me 5 minutes, I'm in my car with a shovel."
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. No.
But I don't have one particular moment. Like I've had many joys in my life, but I don't have like one specific moment where I go, okay, so starting today, life will never be the same again or anything like that. I don't have that.
Mm.
I think that it's so funny because I don't have kids, and yet I'm convinced I'm going to be a grandmother. I don't know how that's going to happen, but I think that would be precious in my life to be a
Who
grandmother.
knows? Maybe you meet a man with children, and they have children, and then all of a sudden you're a beautiful grandmother. It could happen.
Hey, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
I'd be okay with
That's
that.
beautiful. And
Maybe
you would
that's
make
the
a
moment.
fantastic grandmother, I'm sure.
You would make a great grandmother. Could you imagine the wisdom that you'll impart?
Yeah.
Gather around, you little fuckers.
Sit the hell down. Yeah.
That's right. No.
I'm
actually,
kidding.
I have it's a I'm an aunt, obviously, and I'm a great aunt. And my nephew Gabe, I was 18 when he was born. So we went clubbing together, and we went dancing together and all that good stuff. But one particular year, he's a musician, and one particular year, Phil Collins was coming to Montreal, the Bell Center. And I don't know, he was going through a rough patch with his adoptive dad and stuff. And I called my brother, excuse me. I called my brother and I said, I think I'm going to give my tickets to Gabe. And so he said, okay, so I'll pay for airfare, because he lived in Castlegar, British Columbia, and the show was in Montreal. So then I called my sister and I said, okay, so your brother and I have this idea. So I'm going to give my ticket to Gabe to see Phil Collins, and Dan is going to fly him one way. And so are you willing to fly him the other way, and, maybe make him work for whatever? So he ended up coming to Montreal for 4 days, and he still talks about it. He's 33 now. He was 13 at the time. And he came over to Montreal. He went to see the show. He walked into the Bell Center, and I mean, we had really good tickets. And he walked in the Bell Center. He sat down and he looked at the drum set, and he said, "I didn't know Phil Collins was a lefty, because how the drum was set up."
Yeah, totally.
So I
That's
went,
pretty perceptive for a young child.
yeah, I went, okay, so that was the right thing to do, is to show him that possibility, because if not, he wasn't going to see Phil Collins ever, right? So, yeah.
Right. Well, there is a moment that forever changed your life.
His
Changed yours too. Because then you knew that there are times that you should go that extra bit for people, because then they will be enlightened, or they will see something different, and why you have a show.
I brought him on so many shows. It's not even funny. Yeah. But that's important. It
is important.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's important that we lift each other up. And that's like my biggest thing, that I think that if you can lift someone up beside you, they're going to pull you up with them. And all this hate that we have right now, where we're so hard on each other, and we're trying to really, we're trying to exemplify our differences, and we got to stop that. I'm a firm believer. I get that there's hate in this world and we have a lot of differences, but if we start like saying, you know what, we all love family, We all love God, whatever God you love. I don't care what
Yeah.
God you love.
Yeah.
We all love God. We all want good in our family, and we all want our daughters and sons to be great and do great things.
Yeah.
Let's get to that. Let's get back to family picnics and
There are
block.
more things that unite us than there are things that separate us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We all have
Unfortunately, the things that divide us are louder.
yeah. Well, because we allow it, right?
Yes.
I have a funny feeling that if James and I start talking in a philosophical way, this show will never end. But it's okay because James has said now publicly that he was going to come and visit
To
me in
Montreal.
Montreal. So that's it. We'll, send you pictures and Pat of us dancing in Montreal somewhere.
In Montreal.
I'll just be in bed.
You'll be in bed. It's okay. It's all right. You can be in bed. I'll be in bed with you guys next Thursday. No, actually tonight I'll be in bed with the both of you. I don't know who your guest is, but that doesn't matter.
We have the great, well, not tonight. Last night we had the great, I don't know how to say his name, so I'm not going to.
Oh, okay.
We haven't asked him how to say his name yet.
Zion.
He's a wonderful man, and I'm telling you right now, when we said that we're having him on Soaring Profits, people have freaked out. They think that he is one of the best humans in the world.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to talking to him. And in fact, because we love you so much, Isabel, we have messaged him 3 times and told him that we're going to put you on hold here so that we can continue talking to Isabel. So that's how important you are to us.
That's right.
Yep.
He's waiting in the green room.
We can show you. He's waiting in the green room, our green room, over there with Mark. Mark's entertaining him though, so it's all right.
Yeah.
I am so blessed. I'm so grateful that you guys accepted to come to my show. I'm so grateful that you guys are in my life. And I'm a Quebecois. You can't get rid of me no more.
That's it. It's family.
That's the way it works.
Well, and that's exactly it, Isabel. So for us, we have our group, we have the Profiteers, and our group of people that we have nestled from the very beginning of when we first started Soaring Profits. We've got this really great group of followers. You can check us out on Soaring Profits on YouTube, on Instagram, and TikTok, all these things. Again, shameless plug. It'll be the last. I swear.
Go right
I said
ahead.
that before.
It's okay.
I'm shamelessly plugging this, but
that's all right.
But no, it's absolutely a pleasure. And when we get to have beautiful people like yourself that are literally going out there and changing the world, you're taking people's stories. For me today, that was a really great experience to come here and kind of share again, the people, passion, and purpose of what drives my life on a daily basis. And James for the same. And you're doing this on a very regular basis with your guests, driving those individuals on what motivates them. And, they can't all just be like, well, I'm trying to grow a small business, right? There's so much more to what these people
Aren't we
do.
all?
Well, but that's what I mean is that LinkedIn in so many ways has become this waste area of how to network properly for your business.
Yeah.
And when James and I first kind of came into it, we had nothing to do with LinkedIn. We don't have a business that we run that way. I'm not roofing. I'm not trying to get get a contract from you.
Yeah.
So what we use LinkedIn for, and again, check us out on LinkedIn, but we use it for the opportunity to get hosts and get individuals like yourself and join them and tell their story. And that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And by that model, you're digging deeper and you're building those personal relationships. And again, you're growing your profiteer network, right? And it's so important when you're getting those people to dig a little bit deeper in just that surface. I want your business. That's the stuff that really means something in the world. And
I think you're truly doing what my dad and Pat's dad did, which was get to know the person who's selling. And if you get to know the person who's selling, like a lot of these entrepreneurs don't know how to sell themselves. They have no idea. They have a great product, but they don't know how to sell who they are. And here's Isabel selling who they are. What is your passion? What's your purpose? Like these are all important things for me to be able to trust you. I can't trust you unless I know these things. So I think it's very important what you're doing too. I think you're a lovely woman and you're great.
Thank you.
A great interview. And we could talk for hours. I know we could. We're at 124. We got to be the longest interview you've ever had.
Yeah. But I was expecting that for two reasons. A, because the three of us, yeah, I think we started a conversation about a month ago, and that conversation is never going to end. And
No.
B, because I asked the same questions to two people, so it's completely natural that it takes double the time, right?
Yeah.
There's two people, and it was very important for me to have to allow the both of you to share who you are, because
Well,
you're
I
beautiful.
appreciate that because it's so kind of you. Like I say on our show, we do get little snippets that we get to throw in about ourselves, but we truly try not to talk about ourselves very much. We try to showcase the person that's on because that is what it's all about. It's similar to your show where we want you to know who the person is, but it really is that vibe of, hey, you've been on your knees. This person's been on their knees too, and they got back up, and you can get back up. Join us. Like if you go back to Chris started walking tall. He was in the park shooting.
Parkland
Shooting. And afterwards, so he's still on a mission of like healing his own mind, body, and soul. And while he's doing that, he's helping others rise above.
Yeah.
Or the great Erica from Cookie Dough, Brodo. Is it Erica?
Yep.
Yeah, Erica from Brodo. Like she is a young entrepreneur. She started a business out of her apartment. She had stacks and stacks of boxes. Her first big sale, everything had mold on it. Everything. She had to throw out everything. She was torn apart.
Yeah.
And she still got back up and made more. And now she is very successful. That is another great person to follow if you want, because she shares her stories. She was just talking about how on TikTok about how she was having a tough week, and she shared that experience. And I think those are the experiences we need to hear so that we know that we're not alone, that we can have darkness and still be successful.
Yeah, and still be human.
Sorry.
That's what matters most.
I don't know when to stop talking. Pat usually like pulls my cord.
Yeah, we're gonna
literally
that was
turned off the camera while I've been talking.
No, I won't do that. But that was a lovely. I wasn't gonna make you shut up on that one. Come on, but that was a lovely way to end the show, guys. Thank you so much to the both of you. Thank you, and to anybody still listening, guys. Go check the Soaring Prophets on LinkedIn or on YouTube or on TikTok or wherever they are. And I will see you next week. Bye, guys.